was married life? How long were you married for?
Married life was horrible. I was married for 15 years.
So how were those 15 years?
They were horrible.
Horrible.
They were horrible. He beats me even with my pregnancy. I was so beaten. I was beaten to a pulp.
Amnesty International says that the rate of domestic violence in Nigeria is shocking. Thank you for joining us for the continuation of the Grace Esuk story. Still our series on domestic violence. In the next couple of weeks, like I said, we'll bring some of our guests as they share their stories and how they survived it and what they're doing today. You're welcome back, Grace.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to conclude the story.
Thank you very much.
So you saw the sight of your husband and your
Yes,
maid
I saw
and-
the sight and I felt hot, but I decided to walk away. And I went out to get water for myself. So I was now going back with my bottle of water back to my room where I and my children normally sleep. When from behind I just had a big punch on my back, so I now fell forward. The next thing, he now held a knife to me that he's going to remove my eyes. I keep seeing things, that he was going to remove my eyes. What is my business? So, and there was a scuffle. Along the line, the knife dropped and I picked the knife. I picked the knife. We now fought over it and he now picked it. I think he was going to stab my face when I checked, and then the thing got my nose. And it was very bad.
Yes.
It was so bad that my maids, they ran out, and the other ones ran out and saw I was all in blood and everything. So they started screaming. And this was past 11 to 12 in the night. So some neighbors came. There was this lady, I don't know, Mrs. Mogu. She and the husband, they were the ones that actually took me to the hospital. Because at that point, I think I was actually giving up. She now just kept on saying, please, just hold on. Please, just hold on. Don't, just hold on. So at that point, by this time, my daughter was just 3 months old, about 3 months or so. That was May, okay. So they now took me to the hospital, and this place was sewn just like that. And before they got me to the hospital, he was out there with a machete and was going to stop anybody that was bringing me to be saved, He was going to stop anybody. He now stopped that. No doctor was going to treat me and all that. So they now had to pass me through the back door of the hospital to be treated, to be stitched up and all that.
How did you leave eventually? I mean, you're no longer there.
Yeah.
From the one you got married, you went through this, you stayed, you were too embarrassed to tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
What was the point where you finally said, I have had enough?
Yeah, this was 1996. I don't know what happened, because it just, sometimes no reasons at all. Yeah, because you could just wake up in the morning and tell him good morning, and he'll just go after you and go, what is good about this morning? I mean, tell me, Grace, what is good about this morning? And sometimes you're just trying to get his attention to do something. He's getting into one kind of a mood, and then you're being beaten and all of that. For instance, let me just tell you this.
Yes.
There's this, when we got married, he now said I should call him a particular name. that I should call him honey. I said I couldn't call you honey because my parents, I grew up to hear my parents call each other honey.
And
it
there was sweetness.
Yes, and there was sweetness in theirs. And it was kind of, how could I start calling you honey, just like my mom calling no, let me give you a different name. Let me call you sweetie. You know, thinking maybe he'll turn sweet. He now turned around and goes, oh, thank you. That's the name you used to call your ex-boyfriends you want to transfer. I mean, we were just gisting, for crying out loud. At the end of the day, I ended up being battered. Things like that. You understand? So it didn't have a pattern or a reason for you being battered or not. So this very day, I forgot, I can't remember, I can't place my hands on what really happened. But there I was being beaten and stripped up. I forgot, he keeps stripping me up. Anyway, he will beat me and
strip you naked.
Yes, he could do it anywhere.
Irrespective of who is there or where it is.
It didn't bother him. So at the end of the day, I became very conscious of that. I started getting myself very lovely on this, you know. So that, yes. I remember once, you know, when he stripped me up in the university, I used to have run a restaurant in the University of Jos. When he stripped me off, and the student that came with his shirt to put on me goes, oh, madam. Anyway, that day I was stripped naked, and he told me.
The final day you decided to leave.
He told me he was going to kill me. Let me see this God of yours. Sure, you run to church sometimes. Let me see how this God will come down and save you. And I stood there, and my children were in between. And they were crying, they were begging, Daddy, please, Daddy, please, Daddy, please. And then the last one, Udwa, stood in between and said, whatever you want to do to my mom, let it go through me before it gets to her. And she stood there. She stood and stood at a point. The other two slept off. Then she stood. At a point, she was feeling sleepy and dozing. At the end of the day, they all dozed off, and I just stood. I said, my God. And I stood, I looked up, I said, God. I think that was where I got to that point with God. And I said, God, if by this time tomorrow my head is upon my neck, I will forever praise you. And I don't know what happened at that point. I don't know. After getting into that covenant with God, he just left the room where he had held us hostage. He now left the room and opened the doors and opened the parlor door and went to the garage and drove out his car and opened the gate, and he was just driving out.
And you were naked?
And I was naked. Oh, I was standing there, and I was just looking and tiptoeing. I said, hey, maybe he wants to try another style. So I was thinking of so many things, and I was looking, and I was tiptoeing as he was going. And then I saw he drove out of the house, drove out completely, and was driving. I remember I was naked. At that point, I just ran.
You ran out of the house naked?
Ran out of the house naked and went to my nearest neighbor.
Naked?
Naked. And there was this boy living with his father. I came out, only for him to come out, and he saw this naked
woman running.
And then he stood and looked. And he turned around and removed his top, his T-shirt. And he was quite tall. He now removed his T-shirt and wore it on me, and then decided to call his father. The father came out and asked me about the children. I said, please just help me bring out the children. Somebody should help me with the children, because if he comes back, since he won't see me, he might hurt my children. So that's how the boys now went and stayed in the house and waited for him. But lo and behold, he didn't come back till 3 days later. But I was so afraid I couldn't even go back to the house to say, okay, let me get something to wear. All I did was to bring out the children to stay with me until he came back.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We tell stories, and we love to hear stories. Most especially stories of human beings surviving trouble. And we all need the encouragement, discovering that others have been afflicted as we, and they have found a way to the other side. In stories are pain and struggles and failure. Well, whatever, I accept it.
you are still the God of my life.
And I didn't know I'm a sickler until I was age of 13.
I suffered.
And also of laughter. And wisdom.
You learn that without God, you are nothing.
And grace.
There was grace that brought me this far, and only grace can lead me on.
And you don't have to be good with words to tell them powerfully.
Oh, see, they were like this. Take. You know when you are coming, you want to enter somebody's
Yes.
house. Their legs were
On the window.
Mba. When they had OPC, the leg went back, bam. Father, I thank you.
Join us as we celebrate the story behind the glory, and that to the glory of God. You're welcome back. So you went back to the house
Yes.
with all these people now?
No,
to
I
get the
didn't go
children.
back. They brought the
They
children.
brought the children
I was
to
so
you.
scared to go back.
That was how you left. Did you ever
Yes.
go back there to the house?
I did not. I never went
What
back.
did he do when he found out that
I was
you had gone?
that I couldn't go back. I wasn't going back to him.
Did he come looking for you?
Not really. Not really.
At this point, you had had enough.
I think so.
In
Both
this
sides.
period when he was beating you up, did you ever go to report to the church, or he never used to go to church?
He goes to church once in a while, you know. He would drive us to church and just attend and then walk away. And they knew us. And the church also knew that he was always not wanting us to go to church. We were always escaping to go to church, you understand? Sometimes by the time we get to church, people will look around and say, oh, you're not putting up your makeup. And I'll go, no, we just, you
Because
know.
he used to sneak out to
Yes,
church.
because I will sneak out with the children. And by the time we are running away and going to church, he will stand up on a little hill just in the house and say, you will not get back into this house. So by the time church will round up everything in church and it's about time to go back home, there's this fear of where are we actually going back to? Where are we going to? You understand? So we will now go and meet the church elders and they will drive us back home, and he will now go, if not for these people that brought you back, you would not have gotten into the house, blah, 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 blah. And we'll get in, and after a week or two, it will reoccur, and nobody ever bothered to ask, what is the problem? Why are you, what is wrong with you? But they will go to him and he will say, no, nothing. Grace is just being too proud, and I don't like the way she walks. She walks as if she owns the world and all of that. And that was just it. That was just his problem. And then besides, I had all girls.
When he eventually brought you the children and you left, where did you go?
I started from going back to Calabar. I went to Calabar. I said, okay, let me go back there because it will take a longer time for him to locate me. I didn't want to stay in Jos anymore because I had too many, the shame was too much there. And then he made up, so sometimes he would just wake up and make up stories. And at a point, I didn't have a face. You understand? He has told so many stories that I could not even face anybody. I have skipped so many things I did not tell you, like my pregnancy period. There were times along the line when I was pregnant, he will accuse me of sleeping with men.
And beats you.
And will beat me and will disown the pregnancy and will say he caught me with a white man. And I would tell him not to worry. I mean,
9 months it will show.
9 months it will show. And then, you see, it became a stigma where I was, and because people thought maybe indeed I was a promiscuous woman or something. He would tell stories, he would just form stories, and he would tell me to my face, I'm going to destroy you. I will destroy you to a point you won't have a face. So by this time, I now decided to run and go and start from somewhere where nobody knew me. So I went to Calabar. And that was how I started with my children. Thank God I had this auntie that was very nice. That
he never came to look for
he
even
never
his
came.
children.
He never came. So we stayed, we schooled there until 2003 when I lost my mom and I had to come back to Jos. So when we came back to Jos, we went to his house. Because by this time, before I left, we were putting up our own house. That's his house where he is right now. So we went to the house to at least invite him that my mom is late. Could you come and attend? When we got there was almost going to be a fight. It was in the evening, but we left. Anyway, he came and attended my mom's burial and all of that. And we still had to go back to Calabar. So, and we went back, and when he saw his children, when we came for the burial, he was around them, he sat with them, gave them money, the children were all over him. But, by the time we now went back to Calabar, he thought we were going back to stay in Calabar. We went and came back finally to stay in Jos. Because actually I grew up north.
Yeah, I know you grew up.
So we now came back to stay in Jos. When we now came back to stay in Jos, the children got admission and they started visiting him. I will send them, please go and visit him. And before you knew it, he started accusing us. Aha, you have come again. You want to come and disturb me. So I now told the children, it's not that I'm pushing you to, it's just because I want you to know he's your father. He's their father. They don't have any other father. So I couldn't stop them from seeing him. So for him to know that, I have children here, it's not that I wanted him to help me train them because already they were in school. So we weren't looking for him to help us in fees or anything anyway. So that was how it was. So we now started our lives again, I and the children. They were going to school. I started a small farm. That was how it was until 2006. My eldest daughter was going to get married. I had to call him. He's the father of my daughter. So I called him. I said, see, this is what is going to happen. Your daughter is getting married. He now came. This is somebody that didn't pay anything, no fees, no nothing for the daughter since she left JS3. Now came and sat with me and goes, that man must pay. You know, she's the first daughter. Oh, yeah. He must pay. He called a certain amount of money, and I was like, no, you wouldn't do that to my daughter. No. So, and that was it. So anyway, to cut the story short, that my first daughter got married 2006, my second daughter got married 2007, and they all paid him the bride price. And to God's glory, they are settled in their homes, and they have their own children. And
you're a grandmother.
And I'm a grandmother. And now they have both females and males. So it wasn't that there was anything wrong with my generation. You will laugh at that because why I said that was there was this man of God, I'm sorry to say, that when my first daughter had her baby, and she had the first set of twins, they were girls, and then my second daughter had her first baby and it was a girl. A minister of God now turned around to say, I hope the thing that happened to your mother will not happen to you. Is it that your generation can't have male children? And I heard and I went to God. I said, Jehovah God, that was not directed to me. It was directed to you. Because I know in your word you say you created them male and females. So it is left for you now to provide my males before people will laugh at you, not me. And to God be the glory. 2010, in 1 year, March 16th, I had my first male grandson. October 1st, 2010, I had my second.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. That you put up with that for 15 years.
I think it was just an experience I had to go through for somebody else out there. Because I know one thing, that God will not allow you go through what you cannot go through. But when I was going through it, it was really difficult. But today, I can say, I think I was going through it for somebody else.
What if he had killed you? When you look in the papers today and you see
Yes.
how husbands are killing their wives and that you survived it here, tried, you even attempted, but you're standing. When you look back today,
I think it was just God's glory. It was just God.
would you advise a woman out there going through that to stay there?
I would not. True, I would ask you to walk out. My own definition is, please, if the marriage is not conducive, walk out of the picture. Walk out, because you cannot remedy it. You cannot change a man. You cannot solve.
Yes, you kept hoping he'll change.
Yes, I did.
And
I
you thought you could change him.
I thought I would do that, you know. But what you cannot change, just walk away from it. That is all I can say to any woman out there who is going through it. It's not that I'm asking you to walk out of your home, so, but I tell you, if it is not
Is
worth
that a
it,
home? Do you have
if
a
it is
home?
not worth it, it's just not worth it. Walk out.
Thank you. Thank you, Grace. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I thank God for your life. Thank God you're a grandmother, but
Yes.
you have granddaughters and grandsons. Children are children.
Yeah.
He says that he'll give us, we'll see our children's children. He didn't say you see your male grandchildren. He says he'll
See your
our
children's
children's children.
And children,
The children are
the
heritage from God. You know,
whatever
male
they are.
or female.
Yes.
And today I'm sure he's enjoying being a grandfather and a grandfather.
I think so.
I think so.
I
Grace,
think so.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
I'm
very
sorry I
much.
made you relieve all those things that you had,
The pains.
yes, that you had buried in the past. I thank you because I know it's going to encourage someone out there.
Yeah.
Thank you, and I wish you all the best from here on. Your joy will be full.
Amen.
Immeasurable joy is what I
Amen.
wish for you.
Amen.
And your children.
Thank you
and
so much.
grandchildren.
Thank you
you
so
very
much.
much, and God bless
Thank you. Bless you too.
you. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. You know, there's some stories I hear, and I'm just dumbfounded. Why would a man hit a woman he swore to love and protect? Why would a woman live under that kind of humiliating circumstance? What would Jesus have done if he was here on earth and a woman ran to him? Would Jesus have said, go back, I'll pray for the man to change? Would Jesus have told her, separate yourself to save your life because I have a purpose for you to fulfill? Would Jesus have said to her, go back and stay in your marriage because I hate divorce? What would Jesus have done? You, Mr. Husband, hitting your wife. What if she were your daughter? What if she were your mother? What if she were your sister? Do you know she's God's creation? Do you know she was put here on earth to fulfill a purpose? And woman, don't you have a self-esteem staying in a home and allow yourself to be used as a punching bag? Mothers, fathers out there, what are you doing to help save your children from this embarrassing situation? I thank God for Grace. Today she's alive to celebrate her grandsons and daughters, but there's so many out there who didn't survive it. And there's still so many out there who will not survive it. Make sure you're not one of those who will not survive it. God created you for a bigger purpose than to become a punching bag. What would you say to your daughter? What would you say to your son? Not just men, husbands abusing wives. There's a roles reversal, wives abusing husbands. But I'm yet to find a man who would come here to share his story of being abused by his wife. But I pray that God will touch the hearts of men who are abusing their wives. Because the Bible says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from God. You're hitting a good thing. You're battering a good thing. And do you think living like that will enable you to find favor from God? Well, may the Spirit of God touch your hearts. May the Spirit of God touch even the heart of the woman who is being battered today, so that she'll know what to do. Listen to her inner voice and her inner self, not to what other people are saying. May the Spirit of God touch your heart to see the need for self-preservation, because so many women today are being killed. I don't even know how to advise you, but use wisdom to preserve yourself, to enable you fulfill a purpose that God created you on, puts you on earth here for. Until I come your way another time, my name is Odua Kavasi, meaning God's will, perfect will of God. You have a great week ahead of you. Goodbye.